everyone. Okay, so tonight we are talking about healing and unity and what they require. So the violent, deadly insurrection at the US Capitol took place now 9 days ago. This weekend, there are armed marches planned for state houses across the country, including here in my home state of Ohio. We all want this country to heal. We want that so badly. But as any parent can tell you, any woman who's been through abuse can tell you, anyone who knows our history as a country can tell you, we cannot have healing unless we have truth-telling and unless we have accountability. But here we have, okay, most Republican politicians, aside from the 10 who did find the courage to vote for impeachment this week. And that was the most bipartisan vote in American history there's ever been for impeachment, by the way. Aside from those 10, we have Republicans and probably not just politicians, many people in your feeds right now. I know, I'm hearing about it from you all every day. These difficult conversations, friends and family who are saying, move on. We need to heal as a country. We need to unite. Why are you harping on this accountability, these repercussions for the president and his enablers too? So these calls for unity and healing, they just remind me so much of what we hear after these horrible mass shootings that our country has become far too accustomed to, right? It's thoughts and prayers, which is really just words that sound nice, but they are used purposefully to avoid taking steps to make us all safer. And those steps are what we need to heal. So our guest tonight is someone who can speak to this in a very personal way. She went through a mass shooting with her city not so long ago. And she is known for her reputation, not only for having helped heal and continue to heal her city, but for standing up to power. Mayor Nan Whaley of Dayton, Ohio, is with us tonight.
Hi, Katie. It's good to see you.
Hey, Nan. I know this one's a heavy topic. Thank you for being willing to step in when we need some real leadership right now.
I know it's a tough time, and I mean to process it all and really process what happened, a little over a week ago, and really think about what it means to our country and what it means to the future of our democracy. I think is a really big deal, and it's something that took me a few days to really get my head around. And I really resonate with what Michelle Obama said. She said, I cannot make a comment. I cannot make a comment right now because it just was so very difficult what we saw last Wednesday.
That's right. So what did shock you about it and what didn't? I think there's some things about it that revealed things about our country that we knew were already here, both for a long time and more recently. But for you, what shocked you and what didn't? And also, do you ever just feel like in all of this, you want to crawl under a rock and not deal with it at all?
Right. I think Thursday morning, I felt, kind of like you do when you were younger and were hungover, the next morning, it was like, you just couldn't emotionally really process everything that you had seen. And so
That's horrible. I do remember that.
Yeah, Thursday morning was really rough for me. And I noticed the friends I was talking to the next morning, they were real cranky. We really weren't, as fast as we normally are, and it was really because of Wednesday afternoon. I think the surprising part for me was the fact that they got in the Capitol. Right. If you visited Washington, D.C., the Capitol Police, don't normally mess with anybody that, even has a water bottle right out in the wrong place. And so it really surprised me the swiftness and breadth that this insurrection just moved through the Capitol. And I think it's indicative not just of the protests, but kind of just how quickly your democracy can be taken away from you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the witnessing of that. I felt the same a few days later of this could all be slipping away, this belief in the election. And, I have always said that my core value is democracy, and the way that I get through every single election, because I've lost a lot of elections, people that, I've supported have not won, is always to know that it was the democratic process and that there was always another election on the way. Yeah. And so for my feeling, that swiftness of them, really being able to get in the Capitol quickly, of them having to escort lawmakers out quickly, and it was just a real common theme to like what that could mean to our democracy itself too. So that's what really surprised me. We have been saying that this rhetoric and this appeasement by the Republican Party to Donald Trump was going to have really bad endings. And I hope this is the ending and not the beginning. That's my other concern is, what happens this week in our state capitals and cities across the country are getting ready and having, a higher alert. So, I'm hoping that we're preparing for something that doesn't show to fruition this coming week.
So Nan, what about the fact that here we have had this, I don't know if it's a revelation, but certainly showing us in stark terms the fragility of our democracy that you've described, and this threat of more violence that we all fear could continue to be deadly. And yet what we hear most from Republicans right now are these calls for unity and healing rather than accountability. And just to bring that home, here in Ohio, we have Governor DeWine, who absolutely excoriated Trump over, inciting violence. But yet when asked, so what should be the repercussions, he completely backed down, saying nothing really at all. And meanwhile, our Republican senator, U.S. Senator Rob Portman, continues to take no stand whatsoever on impeachment. Like,
no
why?
Stand.
Why?
And only if something that, Trump maybe does in the future, maybe then I might do something, maybe, yeah. But let me say too, just about why it's so important the impeachment had to happen. And look, I think all of us want to just move on, right? I mean, for sure. I think, it's so, for folks that love democracy, it's like, oh yeah, that was awful. Like, we don't want to see that anymore. But, when I was thinking about it this weekend, I'm very concerned that it's really about this kernel original lie. And that original lie is that the election was rigged or stolen. And there are people that marched that truly believe that. And I know that's hard for us. We're in a different bubble than these folks, but just think about it for a minute. The president they supported has told them for the past 2 months that the election was stolen. And their elected representatives that are in the president's party are allowing that lie to continue to go. That is what's so dangerous. And that is why impeachment had to happen. Because if you just move on, then that lie is still real. And it's a lie. And so I think that's what's so important. And really, only Republicans can do this. Only Republicans can do this. Because of course, we're in a different place. And so having those 10 Republicans, I really wish it was more. Yeah. That was important. Because, this is not a bubble that is going to be popped overnight. This is something that's going to take many, many different conversations in different ways for folks to realize that they've been told a lie. And I think that's really important. And that's the work that's going on right now. And that's the opportunity we have as Democrats, is to start popping that bubble in different ways, right? Not to be angry at the people that believe this lie, because I try really hard to put myself in their shoes, not the folks that insurrected the Capitol, not those folks, but the ones, there were lots of people that marched. And I was imagining if Joe Biden told me a lie, that the election was stolen, and then the Sherrod Brown agreed to that lie, right? What would that be for us, right? They would never do that, of course, but I'm just trying to, get in some other people's shoes, because that's something that we just don't do anymore.
So there are certain Republicans that go to great lengths to separate themselves from the lies, from the saying, no, I don't approve of that. I'm not like that. Right. And that is a thing in Ohio with our governor, with our senator. And so they they attempt to do this thing of setting themselves apart, denouncing the rhetoric. They don't like the violence. But when push comes to shove and there being repercussions, there being consequences, there being accountability, which is what healing requires, they don't do it.
Right. And that's not enough. That's not enough. Right. So, you have to be like Liz Cheney. You have to, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but you have to be like, no, this impeachment must happen. There must be repercussions for actions. Right. The problem with DeWine and Portman is they want to have their cake and eat it too. Right. They want to go out to moderates and say, like, I'm really with you. Like, I know this is crazy, but then say to everybody, oh no, you're right to be crazy. You can't do that. You can't do that. And it's not fair to the people that actually believe this lie either. Like, it's not fair to either side. And I think that's what is so painful watching this is you are so often, I think we talked about this last time, we so often see people that put their power over their principle. And we need to celebrate people that put principle over power. Now you take Governor DeWine's decision last Monday to sign Stand Your Ground. Again, he put his power over his principle, right? He came to Dayton on the night of the shooting, on the day after the shooting, heard us say do something, came out with points that were very aggressive that would easily be supported by Moms Demand Action, then continued to water those down. But still, we were, Mayor said, okay, if you're going to take a step, even if it's a small step, we'll take it with you. And then when the rubber met the road, he went the exact opposite direction. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we cannot accept because, you can't stand in front of a community who lost 9 people and dozens more injured and say you're with them and then sign a bill that makes it more dangerous in that community, particularly to the people of color. That is not leadership.
And that is exactly what happened for people who are not in Ohio, but this did gain a lot of national prominence. I mean, this mass shooting in Dayton, it was in 2019. And what Nan describes is exactly what happened with Governor DeWine, our governor, who is now refusing to stand up to Trump and actually call for repercussions over inciting violence at the Capitol, came and promised this action in Dayton. And I have to wonder at what point are leaders like DeWine in this political calculus they're making underestimating the voter, though ultimately. Yes, of course, there are those who just want to say, okay, back up Trump, and, whatever on policy, whatever. But ultimately, this act of, like you said, speaking out of both sides of their mouths, trying to have their cake and eat it too, to me, that underestimates the voter. Most voters, who are actually seeking leadership, who want to be led by someone that they can actually respect. I mean, like, at what point does that just sort of this balancing act just fall on its ass?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming. I really do. I think that they keep on pushing and pushing, and they've made alliances in their party that I don't think can hold, frankly. And you're starting to feel that, I think, particularly with the insurrection. And what does it, and what does it say about them that they were appalled? I looked at the Republicans Wednesday when they certified the election, something that is supposed to be just a simple act. Many senators appalled, but then no accountability. And then the 60% of the Republican congressmen that voted to not certify, so they go through all that and then they were like, still, no, we're going to believe the lie. We're going to hold on to the lie. That's very dangerous for our democracy. This whole idea that elections are not done well. And we've done so much work in this area, and you have both, like in Georgia, you have both Democrats and Republicans on the ground saying absolutely. I mean, come on. I mean, that is, I think, very terrifying to me.
So something that's been coming up a lot in among our women is, people are noticing this. A lot of times this kind of lack of leadership stuff, it flies under the radar, and maybe one policy issue to the next. But people are noticing this right now. We are seeking leadership. We want the lies to end. People are just trying to get to this inauguration, get better leadership, but still concerned over what this is revealing. And meanwhile, in the last couple of weeks, it was noted by some that there was, you announced that you were not going to be running for re-election for mayor. And so a lot of women were asking me if they could ask you a certain question. So Amy, are you here? Amy, are you here?
Hey, Amy.
Hi, Mayor Nan Whaley. How are you? I'm so happy that I get to talk to you.
It's nice to see you. You look awesome. It's great.
Oh, thank you. I put makeup on for the first time about maybe 6 months or something.
Good reason too, though, Amy. So
Yeah.
Amy's involved with Red, White, and Blue down there in Southwest Ohio, just kicking butt, organizing with women, has gotten involved since 2016. And they ask if women, now that Trump is, was not reelected, if these women are going away. Amy, what say you?
No. We're not going anywhere. We are all too connected. We are all too well informed, and we care way too much about what's going on in our state right now. And I just want to say, Mayor, that we appreciate so much. We are all, like you guys have been talking, so frustrated with our leaders who just have such a difficult time standing up and just saying plainly what is right and what's the right thing to do. And they're very wishy-washy with their statements. And we're just so thirsty for somebody who will speak truth to power, who will say plainly in a leadership role, what is the right thing to do? Stand up for what's right. And so like Katie said, we know you're not running for mayor. We heard your announcement. I do have an army of women down here in Southwest Ohio, really close to you, who love Nan Whaley. They're all probably tuned into this tonight. And on behalf of them, I want to say that if you ran for a statewide position, we would all work our tails off for you. And will you pretty please run for governor?
Oh!
Well, I'm super grateful the support that women across the state have given me as mayor, even, and just the notes and the comments that I've gotten from women across the state have really made 2019 and 2020, which were tough years, quite bearable and empowering. So I want to thank you all for that. And I'm going to say this: we're going to probably announce some things in the coming months, but you have not heard the last of me. I promise.
Yay! That's great news.
Will you take that for now?
I'll take it. I'll follow up. How about that? Like, I'll take it for now, but I'll be calling you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for all you do, Amy. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Nan. We really appreciate you.
Sounds like you got work to do, Amy.
That's awesome.
I think you just made a lot of women in our network very happy. We are so, just like Amy said, she just represents like exactly the mindset of where so many women are, for seeking out women in leadership who are going to be true to their values and stand up to power. And Nan, you've done that again and again. When Donald Trump came to Ohio and, he tried to pull some BS on you and Sherrod Brown lying about things you'd said. That was around the time of the shooting as well. Mm-hmm. You called it out. You guys, she just does. She just calls it out. And so regardless of what the future holds for Nan Whaley, let's all just be glad that we have much more to hear from her, as she has promised. So
thank you. Thanks, Amy. That was so nice. And, I'm not kidding. The support of women from across the state has been so empowering for me these past 2 years. And I have to say, I announced last Wednesday I wasn't running for mayor, and I got these awesome, just really moving calls from women that called into my office. And I tried to call anybody that had a phone number. I called them back. They were just truly heartfelt, because you do this work every day, and you just try to bring your real self and work as hard as you can for your community. But when you get those kind of responses, it really means a lot. So I just want to say thank you to everybody out there.
I love hearing that, because I do know how important it is for women to stand behind women. And Nan, that's something you and I have talked about. Mm-hmm. Like we do each other no service when we are the hardest ones on each other, but the power, when the rocket fuel, of moms, of women from all walks coming together and linking arm in arm. I mean, let's just never underestimate what that can do.
Exactly. And so let me say tonight, speaking of women, tonight, Liz Walters was elected as the chair of the Ohio Democratic Party. First woman that we've had as Democratic Party chair. And she's been active in Red, Wine, and Blue. So she's one of us, right, Katie? And
Yes.
we are so excited about it. I've known Liz since actually we met on the No on Issue 2 2011 campaign to fight, to stop, to end collective bargaining. And I'm so excited for our state. We are so lucky to have her in this leadership role. So speaking of that,
I'm so glad that just happened tonight. So this is breaking news.
Breaking news just happened.
This is just, it's actually incredible to think about. I mean, so in Ohio, as you just said, we have never had a woman lead the Democratic Party. That's happened. She's now in leadership there. And by the way, you know, we have never elected a woman governor of Ohio either. So, I mean, I just think we should keep making it.
We got lots of work to do, right? To be represented.
Yes, exactly. So, Nan, I would love to hear, you know, as we think about in places like Ohio going forward, where Democrats need to figure out how to build back stronger, grow more strength,
Right.
to win in places like Ohio going forward. Democrats need to do better in cities and in manufacturing and more rural type areas. You are someone who thinks a lot about this. How do they do it? Oh, we might have a little good night visitor.
Oh, hey there.
You want to say night, Nan?
Night, man.
Okay.
See you later. Have a good one.
Go Ohio. Yeah. So he used to be so camera shy. Now that's like the second time he's done that in a week.
That's awesome.
So, all right. How do we win in places like this? People want to know, you know, how do we double down on our gains, but then also not write off places that we need to be with us and where we do share values, but feel like they're going further and further away.
Right. I think there's definitely a path. And, you know, I love Ohio and believe in Ohio and believe in the message of the Democratic Party for Ohio. Look, I think if we look at what's happened the past 30 years in this state, in which the Republicans have had pretty much complete control during that period, all we've seen is our families, no matter if you're in rural Ohio, if you're in suburban Ohio, or if you're in urban Ohio, you've gotten further behind. And so, you know, I always like to ask people like, well, how's it working out for you having this Republican control that we keep on voting for, right? I mean, not great. You know, the numbers and data bear out. I can go on and on about how Ohio keeps on dropping further and further down the list around the indicators that would show that our families and our kids would grow up stronger and better than we are, which is, I think, always what people want. And then, you know, if they are to do that, they have to leave Ohio to make that happen. And so I think that is really the challenge that we all know we are not getting ahead in this state. And I think that's a message and something we need to talk about no matter where we are. If we're in, you know, Portsmouth and Chillicothe, or if we're in Dayton, or if we're in Cleveland, you know, these are the same issues we're seeing no matter what kind of town we live in. And I think that honesty with folks, I think is going to be really important for the Democratic Party to have.
Honesty. Imagine.
Yeah. Too often, you know, we allow the Republicans to do the politics about what divides us. And there are I see opportunities everywhere on what is similar about Ohioans and Buckeyes. And so I think that's really a message that can really drive us home. And Sherrod does this, right? You know, Sherrod leads every single time about the dignity of work. And it is always that he begins with, and work for everyone and inclusivity for everyone, you know, but that dignity around work is, I think, the mantra and the centerpiece of being an Ohio Democrat.
And he says what he believes and speaks truth no matter what, and people respect him for it. And that is, I believe, the greatest point of contrast between him and some of the other leaders we have mentioned. Really.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like, look, this is stuff that has to be in your bones to be a Democrat running statewide. This is not poll tested. This is not consultant driven. We really have to, you know, recognize that the state is getting further and further behind. And if you keep on giving tax cuts to the rich and cutting services to our communities, we're not going to get better. We've done that for 3 decades. There is a better way, and Democrats can do it.
So here's my last question to you before we bring on a few other women who just want to say hi before they reflect a little bit on this conversation and probably like have a little party together because they're excited about you. But, and gosh, because we just need goodness in our lives right now.
Right.
But, you know, you're thinking about putting yourself out there, perhaps, you know, on an even larger scale. You have already been a leader in this state. And I am so happy to hear that when you made that announcement a week ago and received good feedback from women across the state, that's positivity, that's supporting each other. We need it. But I know that ain't all that you hear. There's negativity that comes. There can be sometimes abusive behavior, people thinking that they have every right to say whatever they want and to put you in your place. And I think it would be helpful for women to hear how you're processing that right now, because there is so much everyone is going through right now in terms of this point we are in this moment of tension and post-election, and people are hearing from friends and family in their feeds, and it is not nice.
No, it's
you know, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. And so hearing from someone who might even be experiencing that at greater velocity at all times because you put yourself out there, I think it would help.
Absolutely. I think, you know, number one, I mean, if you read my Facebook feed, sometimes it's not a pretty sight. And so I've had cousins and relatives say, like, Nan, I don't know how you do this, because they read what is out there. But let me say this. Number one, they're usually the same regular suspects. So it's not, you know, all different kinds of people. So, you know, like, I can tune some folks out, you know, unlike a private Facebook feed or something, I can't block anyone. So I take it, you know, it all comes. And so, you know, number one, that's key. And then, you know, there are folks on there that disagree with me heartily, but we've had really good conversations and continue to have good conversations. And I haven't met them personally. These are people that will go at me on Facebook and then send me like a message to be like, I do agree with you on this one thing. And so I always feel like that's the opportunity to be like, okay, you know, there are places we can like kind of punch the bubble again. And that's always what I'm trying to do with the few folks that do that, and that they keep on engaging with me, even though they completely disagree with me on like 90%. I feel like there's hope in that. And so that's what I try to do. Now, look, I mean, we have to be very careful anymore, especially in this day and age. And it's unfortunate with like just how a lot of the rancor has gotten to a level of, you know, danger. And so we take that very seriously. I don't want to pretend like we don't. But the parts where people are just, you know, angry about a certain position, et cetera, I think those, I feel you have to feel steadfast in what you believe in. And I don't feel any ill will towards them, but you know, I think if we keep on talking and not talk down to folks, but talk to folks, I think you can make a difference. And so maybe that's naive of me, but that's what I try to do. And, you know, Dayton's in a conservative area of the state. And I always like the story a business guy said to me about 4 or 5 years ago. He said, well, you know, Nan, you know what the folks that say in Dayton about you? And I said, no, I know. I said, we're trying to get support for some things for the city. And they said, well, you know, they say, well, you know, sometimes I don't like where she stands, but at least she stands.
Yes.
And I feel like even the people that disagree with you respect that. And so that's always been something I think that's really important. You know, I'm pragmatic. I try to get stuff done for my community, but that doesn't mean that I have to, you know, be namby-pamby or wishy-washy on the issues that are so important for our community and for our state and country.
So I'm just going to wrap this up where we began. I mean, the key to being able to have healing and unity ultimately is accountability and strong leadership. And those things are only possible if we do have leaders who say what they mean and aren't trying to say the right thing, the nice words that sound right, to purposely cover up doing the thing that is actually going to make a difference. It is that transparency. It's why I look up to you, Nan. So thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate what you all do too. I could not have the strength without the work that you do. So thank you.
Well, thank you for supporting what we've done here from the very beginning. And I'm so excited about what the future holds for you. Let's say hi. Let's say hi to a few other.
Hey. Amy. Hi, Tara. Hi, Julie.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Hi.
Good. Doing good.
Great. Thank you for coming on. I just always love hearing from you. It's wonderful and very inspiring. So,
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Nan, we like to do these conversations. Oh, I might have to go on mute because I have to find string cheese for my child. But Nan, we always like to have these conversations and to reflect on the wisdom you share. I'm going on mute. I'm leaving
Cream cheese right now.
okay. I think Angie might have, I can't tell if she's holding something in her lap. Looks like, I was going to say, no one can compete with the cute child that Katie is bringing on the screen, but I know. But thank you so much. We totally appreciate you coming on. Like I said, it's always inspiring to hear, and women get very excited when I say, Nan Whaley is going to be on Uncorked. So,
Yeah.
Well,
I was texting friends and they were all like, yay, yay.
well, you guys, I think the organizing work you're doing and, building and talking about these issues in ways that are real, I think is really, really important. So thank you guys. And I always love to come on. So whenever, I don't think I've ever turned Katie down when she's asked me to come on. I'm going to say that. Perfect batting average when it comes to that. So
I'm going to say that I will be very bold and say that in a couple of months, when you have something to discuss, maybe you can come back on.
Yes.
I'll look forward to that. I look forward to that.
All right. Thank you, Nan, for coming with us tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to Julie and Tara and Amy and Angie. Thank you all for being here tonight, and talk to you soon, Nan.
Bye, Katie.
Thank you, Nan. Thank you.
All right, well, hopefully we get Angie down there. I think she's having some technical difficulties, and my Wi-Fi has been a little weird, so I really hope that I don't cut out either. But
Hi, Tara.
Hi. Nice meeting you.
Tara made it. She was running. Tara is always running in from a school. She made it back, though.
Some sport going on, yes.
Yeah, that's right. You're always coming back from some sport.
Is there ever not a sports season? Like, did your children ever not have a sports season?
No, we're always in season. Yeah. Baseball, basketball, football, lacrosse, and track. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, I'm going to say, normally this is our post-show panel. We just kind of have a little chat, but I'm going to call it a post-show party since Katie said it has been a really great day. So Nan being on, like I said, is always inspiring. We know Liz Walters, who just got elected to the Ohio Democratic Party chair. So we're talking girl power, like all over the state of Ohio. And there's Angie.
Hi, I'm back.
Angie's also girl power. She's the president of the city council in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Amy is a total grassroots badass down here. And hope I can say that down here in Southwest Ohio. And Tara is the same thing, but she's up in Columbus. So first of all, I'll let you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves. I'm Julie. I'm the organizing director for Red, Wine, and Blue. Tara, go ahead because you're next to me.
I'm Tara Seward. I live in Dublin, Ohio. And I'm pretty new to the scene of politics, but I started off with Positively Blue and then really quickly got picked up with Red, Wine, and Blue and been very empowered by all these women. So been doing some things here and trying to get some people to maybe think a little differently and definitely express their power and their truth.
And I think there's some people talking to Tara that she should run for office, but we can get into that another day. Amy, go ahead.
Absolutely. That would be awesome. I would love to see that happen. I'm Amy and I live in Mason down here with Julie in Southwest Ohio. And we have a large grassroots group down here that we've been working with for the last 4 years and really tough. Since you already said it, I'm just going to say it again. Badass women down here that get a lot of stuff done. And I got to work with Red, Wine, and Blue, which was a super blast. It was so much fun last year.
I know. All right, Angie, I kind of introduced you, but go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angie Jenkins, and I am a resident of Reynoldsburg. I am currently the president of Reynoldsburg City Council. This is my first term. I'm in it. This will be my second year running. It's a 4-year term. This is the first time I've ever ran and won. So I'm new to politics as well. So that's not an excuse. Run. So, and if you need any help, I'm I'm willing to help you for whatever position you may want to run for, because I was very new to it. The advantage that I had in running was that I ran with a team. There was a group of us that ran. And I also ran with 2 other women, and we were the first African-American women to serve on city council, and I'm the first elected president. So we were running together. So we had a little bit of an advantage. We can bounce things off of each other and keep each other going. And, we had, each other. So that made it a little easier to run and not give up and not cry alone or anything like that. Met Julie while were we running or did we win? I think we were running, right, Julie?
No, we met Angie and her football moms right after you guys won. Red, Wine, and Blue went up, and we were going to do an interview with them, and it turned into like a 3 or 4 hour several bottles of wine in a restaurant. It was a total blast. So I highly recommend anybody who wants to go have a good, meet some cool ladies, go down to Reynoldsburg. But I was going to talk a little bit. I think Katie and Nan were talking a little bit just about, especially being a woman and trying to use your voice in public and speaking up, whether you're an elected leader or just speaking truth to power at like a city council or a school board. I think all of us have had to do that that who's here and talking. Tara, I know you've gone to your school board. I know you've definitely been using your voice there. What do you guys find about that? Like, what is great about it? What are the downsides? How would you tell other women, like, not to be afraid to do that?
I think that I've had to learn that this year, and it took me a little while actually, because I don't have a vote on council, but I can still bring forward legislation. And I was going to the mayor and the director of development with the things that I thought and my ideas, and they would just say, "Oh, okay, we'll think about that." And I thought, well, okay. And I would wait and I wouldn't hear back. And so I think that for me, I had to learn to just be a little bit more aggressive in whatever it was that I wanted to do, because I set the agenda for the meeting, so I can put whatever I want on the agenda. But I never
leading in power.
So I'm learning to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't have a thick skin, really. I don't think, for politics. I don't feel like I was a politician. I didn't want to run. Let me just say that too. I didn't want to run. So I was encouraged to run. But now that I'm here, I know that I have the power to do so much more than not being in the position that I'm in. But it took a lot for me to think about running for this position. But I think that I feel like if I had an issue with my kids, I immediately can go to a teacher, the school board. I had all the energy to do any of that. So I should have the same energy to be able to do that with the people that I work with, whether it's, the city attorney, the city auditor, anyone in city council. I should be able to have that same energy to say, I want to do this, I want to get it done. And I was listening to Nan, and I've never met her, but from the sidelines, I've been cheering her on, but looking at what she does and how she just does it. And so I just think, for me, I need to be a little bit more aggressive and just, whatever I believe in, I should just do it instead 100%. Of looking for someone to say or approve it.
Yep.
Well, that's what
because you're kind of new at politics. Like I know you just kind of started getting involved too. And I know you have gone to school boards. Like, how has that been for you? What's your experience been?
I think it's been really positive. I just, I felt very passionate in the beginning. So I thought, I'll just go out and power in numbers. We're all just kind of going to show up and really speak our truth. And I realized, I looked around and was like, oh, there's only 2 of us. Okay. I was like people have a lot to say behind the scenes, like on Facebook. And then when it comes down to it and actually going there, it is hard. I realize that, it is difficult because you're putting yourself out there to be judged. And that's a hard thing to do, especially, as a mother with children in schools. You just get a little nervous. Like, what are people going to think? How are they going to be? But I thought, with communication, I've talked to my kids about it. I felt comfortable that, okay, this is the right thing to do. So if you get feedback, this is kind of our truth, so that you can speak that as well, so that people can understand. Because a lot of times people are mean because they just don't understand, or they fear the unknown. So I think that really communicating has helped. And then realizing, I don't have to have all the answers when I go there. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to know
Right.
all the politicians. I don't even have to know what district I'm in now, but I didn't. And, but other people do know, and there's people that have that knowledge, and you can reach out to them and they're willing to help. And so it's like you start kind of becoming a sponge. You have all this knowledge, and then your circle of friends and your circle of influence starts to grow. And you're like, what? This is actually not that hard. If you can say no to the things that, aren't moving you, and then say yes to the things that are, you can put a lot of effort into what you really enjoy and what you really do. And that, I think, impacts other people. So
Yeah.
that's
Right.
where
And Amy, I know Amy probably agrees with you on the whole, you can start off small, because we kind of started off small here in Mason with our little group. And then we've had this like huge circle of impact now. So what are your thoughts on all that, Amy? I know you just talked at City Council this week.
Yeah, it's true. And Tara, as usual, just like sums it up so perfectly. I think people, they have a lot of feeling, they have a lot of opinions, and they have a lot of passion about a particular issue or something, but it's really hard for people to get over that hump to stand up at a public meeting for your local government and say something, because just as Tara said, you just feel a little bit judged, and you're worried what's going to happen the next day when you're out in the community or you're volunteering in your kid's school. What are people going to think of you? And it doesn't really matter. I mean, like, it does matter. That's a hump you have to get over to be able to do it. But after you get up and you speak your truth, whatever it is that's important to you, it's just such an empowering feeling. And it's just so worth it, because you're not doing anything wrong. You're just telling your elected leaders what you want them to do and what you expect from them as your representative. It's perfectly within your rights to stand up and do that. We just did that on Monday, like Julie said, and it was difficult because there were a lot of people that didn't share our point of view at the meeting that stood up and spoke too. So we got a significant amount of pushback. But in the middle of the meeting, I had a couple of friends there that spoke at the meeting during the public comment sections. And Julie was on the text string, like right in the middle of it. It was a super frustrating meeting, but I just said this message. I'm like, I love my friends, because it was so difficult for them to stand up there. They were nervous, they were getting pushback, but they did it anyway. And I was just so motivated and proud of them. And it's because they were doing something that was hard, but they did it anyway. And they felt great afterwards too. And we all know that maybe it made a difference, maybe it didn't, but we were still speaking truth. So that was important.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say
that was about what you were doing in City Council. What was the subject about?
Well, we had a city councilman who went to Washington, D.C. last week.
Oh, okay. That's simple.
Yeah, he told a lot of the press around here, who was on a lot of different media outlets advertising that he was a Mason city councilman who was there. And we all just wanted to go let him know that we didn't really appreciate being represented that way, as a city, that there were constituents that were not proud of the fact that he was there and part of that violent insurgency.
Yeah, and I think Amy's right. Like, your friends being there to support you, I think you guys probably all would say, to have the support of other women. I mean, Angie, you've got,
yes,
you ran with two ladies, right? You ran with a friend group and had that support. So, and you can start small. And I will say this to people. I always tell people, I've gone to the State House and testified in front of the legislature before for Moms Demand Action. And I'm going to tell you, ladies, if you think you don't know everything, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to tell you, you probably know a lot more than a lot of the elected officials sitting in those talking back to you, 100%. Okay, well, we're only supposed to go for like 15 minutes afterwards. So this went by really, really fast. I just want to point out, if you guys haven't ever taken an action, or you are a little nervous about doing that, we have a really easy thing you can do right now. We just launched a petition today. You can go to Red, Wine, and Blues Public Facebook page, or if you're a member of our private groups, Decanted Ohio or Sweep, You can go, and there's a petition that we are sending. Actually, it's an email we're sending to Rob Portman, basically asking him to take a stand and do all the things that Nan and Katie were just discussing. We need accountability. We need people to stand up, and that's how we're going to heal the country. So I thank all of you ladies for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I hope everybody has a really great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Nice to see you.